Welcome to Altar of the Demo Gods. If you're wondering what advice from two experienced sales engineers sounds like, it's a little like this.
Welcome back to Altar of the Demo Gods. I'm Keith Wilson, joined by my co-host, John Morton. John, how you doing?
Ahoy, hoy, Keith.
Ahoy, hoy, John. Joining us again, Larci Robertson. Larci, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're not going to go too deep into an introduction for Larci because that was our entire last episode.
Yeah, we'll just say certified badass, Navy veteran, successful SE. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, the important things, the bullet points.
The highlights.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Set that bar high.
So,
hot.
Last episode, we talked about Larci. We talked about her transition from Navy to corporate America cyber threat intelligence to technical sales. I took away from that, we talked about some people are afraid to even try it out or explore the career because they're just like, oh, well, sales isn't for me, right? Sales is a bad word, and sales doesn't have to be a bad word. It's been a stigmatized word, and I think once you actually experience it or learn a little bit more about it, you realize it's from a consultative point of view. I also talked about how sales engineers are, at least in my experience, are inherently good educators. They have, a lot of them may have or not have a formal education background in education, but they do enjoy educating others. You have to do it as part of a job, as we talked about in the last episode too. If the customer doesn't know there's a problem, then they're not going to buy anything, and it's up to you to educate them on that problem. John, anything that I missed from last week?
No, other than the fact that, always shake hands, meet people, learn new things, because you never know where your job can take you. You think you may be stuck in one track, but in reality, there's so much more opportunity, right? So always be open to meeting and engaging with new folks, learning about what they do, because you may find a new career path. So that's kind of one thing we learned from Larci too, going from, military career to where she's at now. So that's just one more tidbit.
Yeah. So if you missed last week, I highly recommend you go back and listen to it. Really interesting story. A lot of good information, particularly if you're somebody that's looking to transition into sales. I think there's a lot of helpful stuff in there. And this week, whether you transition into sales or not, we're hitting on a topic that I think is important to sales engineers and almost anybody really in corporate America. And that's building your own sort of brand on social media. And that's why we have Larci on again, because she's pretty good at that. From what I hear from John, tells me that that you know a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to that. Sound like an old man now.
I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yes. So absolutely, Keith. I do think, John hits it. You got to go shake hands, got to talk to people. You have to do it virtually as well. But you also have to show up too, because it's really hard to, create those connections and then someone say, hey, do you know this person? You're connected to them on LinkedIn. If I don't have like a actual meeting of them and spoke to them, I probably won't remember. And that's not good, right? So how do you get to know those people? You have to go either meet them or to interact with them online. Meaning, don't just hit the like, go talk to them, say something about what they're posting. Whatever it is that they're doing, say something, ask them questions. Maybe you want to do it privately, whatever. Hey, I've never been to that place that you just posted about. How was it? What did you get from it? Those types of things I think are important to truly connect with people online. Otherwise, I know good and well that, if you have 10,000 followers, you don't know them. Like, they're following you to get information. That's what we do online. We're going to learn from each other. But do they know you? Probably not. But they're getting to know you in the way that you present yourself. So
that was a bold statement, and I like that, Larci, because I know a lot of people that do it for the clout, right? And I know on like YouTube and stuff, I got to be honest right now. I'm going to degenerately take it a different path. Up until this year, I didn't even know who Mr. Beast was. But I found out who he was, and I found out he has like millions of followers, and he makes a lot of money on that. That's not normally how it works on LinkedIn in corporate America. So those 10,000 followers Larci's talking about, they follow you for information, but you don't necessarily know them, right? So social media is a way to cast a net to get a connection with people. But what you're saying is, if you get even to know a handful of them, would you say that's extremely valuable?
Yes, extremely valuable. But also it's valuable too to have someone to follow. And then you have someone else to follow back. So we're going online. We're following those people to learn something from them. Nobody's following me because I have blonde hair. Nobody's following me because I'm, I hope no one's following me because I'm a woman. You know what I mean? Like they're following me because there's something I have to share, right?
The content.
Maybe it's my women's security. Maybe it's my Navy background. Maybe it's the jobs that I've had. Maybe they want to know, how did you like working at this place? Because we all do that. We're going out looking for our new careers, our new place of work. How did you like working there? How did that go for you? When you volunteered for this organization, did you like it? Was it beneficial to you? How much time did it take? Like you're going out and getting a true person to answer you rather than going to the job boards and reading the reviews that people typically put in there because they're angry. People go and do reviews when they're upset. They don't typically go and do reviews just as,
positive comments.
Yeah, they don't. It's pretty sad. I'm part of that problem too. It's a lot of work. But when you're worked up on, your unhappiness, you'll go and do it. But you don't do that when things are great. But
quick on that, Larci, I think you're right. You said it and I'm processing it as it comes through. There's two reasons I tend to try to connect or follow people. It's either one, they said something I was like interested in and I wanted to like learn more. And normally I'll do like a follow. So I'm just kind of following the LinkedIn path. There's a follow and there's a connect. So if I like what they're saying, to your point, the content's relevant to me, it's important to me, I'll click on follow. But I'll only click on connect if I know them or if I do want to reach out to them. So those are two paths I tend to follow. So you're saying in your experience, like you can take advantage of both and you like feel like the connect is more of a personal connection, maybe lean into.
But even too, you at least have an agreement with them that they're okay with you connecting with them. When you follow someone, they have no control over saying yes or no, other than no, you can't follow me, and they're going to block you completely. That's not the answer. But following is completely not anonymous, basically. Yes, anybody can follow me, right? Until I say no. They don't get to ask me, can I follow you? That's only with a connection, right? So you have to ask, can I connect to you? So I think that part is like an agreement. You've agreed, but it also brings you like, you want to go in and make sure that the people that are connecting to you are actually real, because there are lots of fakes out there. There are yes, there are. John.
I'm being honest right now. How would I know that there's some fakes out there? Other than I click on accept, not just to follow, but they want to connect, and instantly they're trying to pitch me. I'm like, goddamn robot, reject. How would I know?
It's true too.
How would I know? Give me some clues.
Look at the how long the profile's been up. Look at their post history. Look at what their education and their experience is. Look at their history. They do have some out there that they put out just to do that very thing, to live for a long time, and then they suddenly look real, because LinkedIn's been around quite some time. But same thing goes for you look at the scammers on Facebook and other places. The history of the account is telling. If they created the account 2 weeks ago and it looks it's a family of of a 50-year-old person, and they have a long history. They've been around, long enough to have Facebook for 20 years now, right? Or I forget when it started, but no history there. There's probably something up, and it's telling. That part's telling in LinkedIn, but having their connections, if they only have 100 maybe, and it's a possibility they just started, but more than likely, I mean, if they're a seasoned person in corporate America at all, they have a presence.
So not to detract, but I'm telling you right now, honest to God truth, I pitched AARP on the fact that I wanted to educate senior citizens on this. Like the fact that some of the social media people that reach out to you are not real. ERP at the time told me no. They thought I was one of those robots trying to take advantage of them. But social media can actually be weaponized to a negative effect. And what you're saying is, even in this perspective, as younger, educated business individuals, you still have to be conscious of this thing.
Yes. I mean, we have CEOs reaching out to people via text asking for Google gift cards. They'll do it on LinkedIn as well. It's pretty wild.
Send me $5,000 in Apple gift cards right now because I'm in a business meeting. If you haven't gotten that,
people are still falling for it, though. That's the thing. That's the problem, is that people are still falling for it, which is why they keep doing it. So educating them, and they're targeting older people. You are right. To say, let me help you, because they do.
Hey, ARP, if you want to sponsor the Altar of the Demigods, me and Keith are open to all sponsorships. 100%. But back to that point, one of the things I do love, and I told Keith, is I love what you do with these in-person events. So let's say you use social media in the right way, Larci. You have a good personal presence, you have a good organizational presence, and you get people to organize in person. I've been there, not to your events, but just other events. What does it feel like when people actually get together? They get to realize it's not robots trying to take advantage of me. They get to mingle together. What's it feel like? I feel like it's a good feeling in my experience. What's it feel like to you?
I think it's awesome. You get a real perspective from real people and make those connections, and probably even, go home with, some contacts to say, I'd like to speak with you more about this because we only had 2 hours and Larci's kicking us out because it's time to go, But that's the idea. Hey, this is the other part too. I kind of forced that a little bit at the beginning of my group meetups. I have every single woman get up and tell who they are, what they do, and why they're why are you here? What are your goals or whatever? That way, when we're done, when we do our whoever's speaking, or maybe we don't, you can actually go and find those people that you want to talk to. Because when a group gets large, you don't really, you'll end up talking to the same people the whole time. Well, if they're not, part of your path that you're trying to go down, you're going to miss them. Right. So I like to encourage that, hey, now that, this person is an SE, this person does GRC, this person's trying to get into this field. Go find those people, go talk to them, connect with them on LinkedIn. I encourage it more so than anything else that we do in the group, is to find someone that you can connect with to, further your career, get a career. How did you do it? What can I, help me, help you? Same kind of thing. How can I help you? Who do you need to, talk to? But those actually in-person connections are way more valuable than LinkedIn. As much as, I push that too, because it's sometimes not possible. People can't show up. But you know what? You show up to my group, there should be people there. I try to do it too. If I'm not the person to help you with what you're trying to do, I might know someone. I can connect you to that person. And it's a heck of a lot easier to do that when I've put a face to a name, and then you reach out to me and say, hey, we talked about this. Can you help me here? Yes. Thank you for reminding me. A lot of times I forget, but those things, as simple as it is just saying, you're that person that was looking for that GRC role. I remember this. Let me connect you with my friend that can be of more value than me in that space. I think that's those connections in person. You really gotta, don't just show up and say, I connected. Actually connect. Actually have a conversation that's important to you. And because otherwise it's just going to get, you just got some talkers. And
quick quip on that. Yeah. If you listen to our last episode, Larci is my favorite for just dropping those acronyms. And thinking we all know.
Which one?
So GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, right?
Risk. Everybody's gonna hate this, but I always bring this up. Some of my friends make fun of me. So I'm from the operations side of, intelligence and the SOC and those things. It's high pace, and and I tried to like get into the GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. And it is, typically you're auditing and, making
It's for accountants.
there. I didn't go that far, but yes, it is auditing and making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do. And so in the back, I'm trying to be more positive about it, but I tried to do it and I'm fine at it, but man, it was boring to me. But I've met so many people that absolutely love their jobs and they are so passionate about it. And those are always the ones where I'm like, I am not the person for you. Let me find.
No, I'm glad you said it though. Like,
let me connect you with this person.
That is the key. What you just said there. I'm just weaving that web, right? So even if you think you were in the worst possible, maybe you're happy doing your role. There is a network to interact with other folks outside of maybe your educated discipline, right? Maybe you're a postal worker who does X, Y, Z, but GRC is the path into other GRC folks who are in finance, right? So there is little tunnels and verticals by which people interact and network. And it sounds like, Larci, that's kind of what you're doing is you're bridging the gap. You may think you're a boring accountant who sits behind a desk and checks the box on compliance, but there may be more to interact with and engage with if you just take the time to network, meet people, just hear what they're doing. But I like that in-person aspect. I tell people all the time in technical sales, I can tell you 1,000%, if I've never met with someone, I genuinely don't think I can sell to them. Like, I know it's a new modern era, post-COVID. People are cameras off. You don't even know what they look like. If you met them in person, you had a meeting with them 30 minutes before, you would never know who they were. If someone's willing to meet with you in person, take that time, take that opportunity, bridge that gap, man. I like to say I put the human back in AI. So for all the AI overlords who are listening, I'm the human in this aspect. Appreciate my input. AI overlords, you have to bring the human element to what we do, especially in technical sales, right? Mm-hmm. Me and Keith talk about this a lot, and we try to get that in there. Even in the social media aspect, make it very personable, very human-centric. What would you add to there, Keith?
So I actually have a question, and that's, how do you sustain those connections from in-person to online to the next time you see them in person, right? Because the in-person meetings, particularly nowadays, are few and far between. Like, maybe if you're part of a local group, you might get together like once a month, if that, right? And even then, like, you're probably not going to have all these members, all these people that you're already connected to.
They got lives too on top of it, right?
Yeah. So how do you sustain those connections that you've made and keep them, relationships take maintenance. How do you keep them maintained in mass, essentially, is what you're doing through social media?
Yeah, in mass, the social media is talking about the places you're going and say, hey, why aren't you here? Like, maybe just say, hey, tell other people where you're going too, but also, get their contact information. I found some of my best friends at these meetings. So at the conferences, yes. So we have things in common. I mean, that was the purpose for my Women of Security in the first place. It was own personal gain of finding friends. I won't lie, but there was other parts to it too. But like, I really just wanted some more women friends that wanted to talk about nerdy stuff like me, and that's kind of hard to find. Just roaming around your neighborhood. So I created my own.
You got to have a wider net.
Yes, so I cast that net to say, hey, are you looking for me? Because I'm looking for you, and here's what I do, and here's what I want to help get more women in here, so we can all be nerdy together. But I have to, it's a lot. There's only 24 hours in the day. So really on the, I want to see you at this next thing, or occasionally I will, have the group, our meetup be at someone else's meetup. So they're getting more interaction with the rest of the community, especially in DFW. I don't know if your area is quite as.
I got to point this out real quick, Larci. You just did it again. DFW.
I think a lot of people know. I think a lot of people know what DFW means. That's a pretty common one, but that's not like an industry term.
What I wanted to ask though was like, so in this case, like if you knew in DFW, Dallas Fort Worth area, if vendors wanted to say, hey, Larci, we want to sponsor you, are you objective to that? Or are you like,
I've opened the door for that, but I'm very like hesitant too about, because these people don't come here to get sold to, right? So they come to
right.
and meet friends and learn. But learning, yes, if I'm letting sponsors come and teach something. So educating.
Okay.
Again, we're going to do some education. So even if they have no business, in any sort of buying anything, they need to walk away of understanding what they just saw and taking it away, taking it home, applying it somewhere, in their daily life or education.
Yeah. So just provide.
By the way,
value.
Hold on a second. I want to give a little tip to the vendors here with this is you can present your educational content in a way that is not salesy, but will leave people begging you to stick around and do a demo for them.
Correct.
Because I've had it happen before. I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we released this thing the other day. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. If you guys want to hang out and check it out, cool. If not, go. We're done with class for the day, so you're free to leave. The entire room stayed and watched me. The entire room just was like, all right, cool. We'll stick around and watch this. Why not? We're packing up. We'll see what's going on here. So you can do this, and you can make the investment in some sort of meetup group or some sort of professional organization. You can give your time and educate them and still not give a sales pitch and still get a sales benefit out of it. And I think a lot of organizations don't look that, they're not that forward thinking about how they, the return that they'll get on that.
The return is you show up, and I told you at the beginning of this, like every person stands up and tells what they do.
Yeah.
And or what they want to do. And then we're giving out a lot of information, obviously, but to be able to speak to them about those things, like kind of problems are they solving today? Do you even fit? Like, do I need to talk to that person? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe yes, just because of connecting with them, and they might help you down that path of finding the right person to talk to you about whatever it is you're trying to solve. Because that is that, like, why do you know so many people? You didn't work with that group. You're right, I didn't. But they all had some sort of touch, and they worked together. And so they connected me with them, and they connected with them. And it just keeps going, right? People are helping people, basically. So I think that's where they got to come in. The vendors have to come in and want to help people. And then, of course, make those connections so they won't see the salespeople as such annoying and...
They'll see that sales isn't a bad word,
right?
So yeah, just I'm a slow learner. I don't care what anybody says. I read it.
Oh no, everybody says you're a slow learner, John.
Jesus, I am a slow. So in retrospect about this exact conversation, two things I would take away is two things. Number one, it's okay to be proud and promote your own personal brand. That's the thing to do. And what you're trying to do is find like-minded people in your organizational role now who may help you get to elevate where you're at, right? So there's nothing wrong with being proud of your personal brand, finding like-minded people, associating, and then maybe selling on top of that what you do for real work. Is that a fair way to sum it up?
Yes. I mean, absolutely.
So if I showed up to your event, and I'd be like, hey, Larci, degenerate gambler, terrible drinker, loves having a good time, talking too much. But I'm here to learn because I love the tech aspect of it. That's my personal brand. And by the way, I work for this company who sells XYZ, but I'm trying to find people who associate with that, maybe to some degree, make closer relationships, but on top of that, accelerate what I'm trying to do. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I
think that's part of learning.
You're also demonstrating what, I think this is the other part that I really we're demonstrating what tech sales do. So they don't typically see that and understand what it is. So that's the other part. Like I've done that with my own product that I've been selling. Both places I've definitely got up and educated on, endpoint detection response threat hunting, right? I've done that. I've done that topic. I've done, software as a service, security across like
Right.
just general stuff, and giving those conversations like, oh yeah, this was quite helpful. I don't even know that anyone's addressing that. At least got them going. And typically, they'll come back and be like, hey, let me see who's supposed to talk to you about,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's me most of the time. But
Yeah, and even at the end of the day, I'm a human. I have these problems. I have these things going on in my personal life. I live in this area. Yeah, I think that's bridging the gap there to like making that human connection back, to bring it back all the way back. Social media is casting that net to find like-minded people, help us get to where we need to be. There's so much to it, but yeah, I get it. I think I learned something, Keith.
And I mean, I don't think we even really got into like too many of the tactics and the techniques of, working and what to do for a social media brand, because I think it all does stem from the in-person appearance, right? The in-person, who you are as a human.
Who are you? Yeah.
Who all these connections are to you, or, as a human. You're just trying to replicate that online, right? It's using, don't let I always tell my son, like, don't let the technology use you. You use the technology, right? It's a tool for you, and that's what social media, particularly when you're using it for work, should be, is a tool, right? I think we're coming close to that time now, where it's
Yeah, but
we had so much to talk about. It's really. It's funny. I didn't expect this topic to go this way. So, because again, I know nothing about building brand awareness online, which is obvious in the marketing that I do for this podcast. So it was interesting to listen to it from this viewpoint too, right? Of just making that human. It's still an in-person connection, and it's still human centric, and I feel like we lose that in the technology. So it was just interesting to look at it from that point of view.
I know. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead, Larci.
yeah, I also have to teach people in person, because I do have a meetup page for my Women of Security. That's where I post all of my meetups.
Oh yeah, like the actual meetup, like
all the information's there. I don't have a distribution list for emails or anything like that. And I share that on LinkedIn. A lot of my group people are not on Meetup, but they come when they see my post. And I'm realizing if they miss it because of the algorithms of LinkedIn, you have to actually teach people to go to the page, see the little bell in the top corner. It's kind of like
notifications.
Subscribe. But yes, you have to tell it, I want to see all posts from this person or this page or this org. So that's one thing that, hey, if you're missing things from this podcast, maybe they should go to John Morton and Keith Wilson, your page, and hit the little bell in the right corner. So they will
See,
notifications on all of your posts.
Yeah.
You're missing.
Larci just gave us like a $1 billion uplift there, Keith. Thank
Do
you,
that.
Larci.
Yeah. So for all your Altar of the Demo Gods posts, make sure that you are
Hit the bell.
hit the bell.
No, just to summarize, I still say, man, people buy from people at the end of the day. And Larci, you've done such a good job in demonstrating that in this, like, even in like, I think this is important for our listeners too. You may not think you have any impact. Like, you may not think you have the reach of Keith Wilson, millions of subscribers. Everyone knows his face. But your impact as a person, engaging with a person, teaching them even very basic things like click on the bell, very important. And keep doing what you're doing. Be proud of what you are, your self-brand, your self-awareness. It's okay to do those things. I feel like that's often missed, in the modern age. Hey, be proud of what you are and where you've come from, and just keep going.
To you guys, this is a fun thing you guys are doing.
It is, right? And we're just trying to get the message out, me and Keith. Sometimes we're just sitting here like talking to each other like, damn, is anybody listening? And every once in a while, somebody will send me a text message or Keith a message. And I'm like, wow, we hit a new audience. So I think we feel that too, Larci. You're closer to it, meeting people. We're a little farther off, but yeah, we like it. So appreciate it.
All right. Well, this was a fantastic and insightful episode, at least for me anyway. I hope the listeners found it valuable. If you liked what we had to share today and you want more, make sure you like, share, subscribe. You can always go to our website. Oh, and hit the little bell so you get all of our notifications too, right? For all things Alter the Demo Gods, you can go to demogodspod.com. If you have questions for us or think you'd be a great guest on the show, you can email us at demogodspod@gmail.com. Well, again, like I said, I think this was a really fascinating episode. This is a topic I didn't know too much about. So it was weird to be the more quiet one on the episode. I think usually I'm the one who talks the most. So it was interesting to not have a lot to say and just to sit back and listen. Larci, thank you so much for being on again for a second week in a row. Hopefully we'll have you back. I hope you enjoyed the experience, and I'm sure our listeners enjoyed it as well. We'll catch everybody here next week on Alter of the Demo Gods.